What's up, Broke-Ass Nation? Today we're going to be doing some more work on this LS1 for the 300ZX that I'm building. Today we're going to be putting the cam thrust plate on. We're going to be doing the timing, and we're also going to be putting the oil pump on. So, stay tuned. Alright, so the first thing we're going to be doing here is we are going to be taking this timing sprocket off of the crankshaft. Now, you could definitely have done this when it was out. Probably should have. But I went ahead and I bought this nice fancy tool to help remove it. Honestly, I wish I could have done without this because this tool was like $80. I've seen other people use other things, but I just could not get any of those things to work. So I figured I'll spend the money. You know, sometimes you gotta bite the bullet, especially if I plan on working on these motors a lot, which I do. So I bought this from freedomracing.com. So yeah, if it works well, go ahead and pick yourself up one if you feel like spending the money. I don't know, we'll see. Alright, so I went ahead and I put the tool on here. That plate just slides down behind the sprocket. You screw these two bolts in, and you have to have some of your own tool, by the way. With this pulling tool right here. Now, I just took and ran these down to where they were flush inside of this plate. Now, we're going to see what happens. Hopefully it comes off fairly easily. Alright, there she goes. There we go. Ah, that was pretty easy. Alright, well, there we go. She's off. Now we can put the new one on. Alright. So we're going to go ahead, and these are kind of pressed on. So you see they got that notch in them. It's a notch right here on the crankshaft. So you want to just line that up on there, and mine actually went most of the way on. But what I was recommended to do is to take your old one and use a harmonic balancer installation tool. Just flip this the other end and let's see what happens here. So, got it on there. Now we're ready to start cranking. There she goes. She's looks to be all the way down on there. Go. Let her rotate around a little bit here. Yep. Seems to be all the way down. So go ahead and back this off. That was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Now, in all reality, you don't really need to change this unless the teeth on it look screwed up. Honestly, mine came with a kit, so, you know, I figured I have it, I might as well change it. Make sure everything's brand new. It's always a good thing to do when you rebuild a motor. So next, we'll put this thrust plate on for the camshaft. Gonna go ahead and put this thrust plate on here. I can get it out of the package. Now, mine came with new bolts. Summit Racing. I mean, this is a pretty cheap part, and if you see the seal here, you want to make sure you get a new one of these because of that seal. That actually helps this oil galley right there, and if you don't replace this, that could leak and cause oil pressure issues. So, cheap part, always a good thing to replace, because who wants oil pressure issues? So, easy enough. Just gonna go ahead and stick it on there. Get these things started. Now that I got those kind of started, I'm gonna run them down the rest of the way. Now, I'm running them down, but I'm not making them super snug, just because these should help line it up with where it needs to go. So, there we go. I snugged them down a little bit more there. But now we can go ahead and torque them down. 18 foot-pounds. Come on, get in there. Alright, I always just like to go back over them just to double check, especially on a final pass. So now that that's installed, we can go ahead and I'm going to take these bolts out of here that I had in the cam, and we're going to go ahead and put the timing gear on the camshaft. I don't know why I couldn't remember what that was called. So let's go ahead and get this cam timing gear on there and the chain. Now, first things first, you want to make sure that your motor is at top dead center on cylinder 1, which will put that mark on this sprocket facing straight up towards the camshaft. Now, I've been told that you want this little piece that's sticking out on the camshaft to be facing to the right over here, straight across. So let's see if that helps make it line up. So I went ahead and I put the chain on here, and I am just going to slide it onto the bottom until I get it in a spot where it lines up. Big thing you're looking for here is making sure that these two markings on here, which probably can't see on the camera, are facing each other, and they are right there. So I'm going to put some Loctite on these, and I'm going to put them in. Alright, I put some Loctite on these bolts and got them in here a little ways. 26 foot-pounds. Just gonna snug them up first, make sure. Alright, let's go ahead. There we go. Now our lower timing sprocket's on, and our cam timing gear, and our chain. Now this chain is a, let me look at the box, a Melling chain. There's what I went with. You can read it. It is a single roller chain. I did want to go to a double roller chain. Big problem was that can cause some like clearance issues and stuff for like the oil pump, from what I was reading. So I decided this isn't no crazy build, so single roller is still better than a stock chain. So there you have it. Let's go ahead and look at getting the oil pump on. Actually, before we move on, I want to rotate this all around a little bit and make sure everything is looking good. So I have the old crankshaft bolt. Just gonna put that in there, use that to turn it. So far everything's looking pretty good here. Make sure that that comes back. That should be, yep, top dead center over there. So looks like it's right. Yay. So now we'll move on to the oil pump. Alright, so here is the oil pump that I went with. It is a Melling 10295 part number. This is a standard volume, high pressure oil pump. I figured that would be useful to have a little extra pressure for making sure I maintain good oil flowing through this thing while cornering really hard during autocross. They actually come with a couple different springs. So if you didn't want the high pressure spring, you could take it out and put in this blue spring that it comes with. Or if you want really high pressure, apparently what the Copo Camaros ran factory, you would use the third spring that they have with their kit. It also comes with a couple different O-rings. That way, depending on your oil pickup tube, you have the right one. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put this on. So you want your oil pickup tube spot here, be facing the bottom, and you're just gonna slide this over the crank sprocket, let it kind of, maybe, come on, should just slide right over once you get it kind of lined up there. There she goes. Sorry about that. Sucker's a tight fit. Now, from what I've seen is if you really wanted to go through and do this, I'm not going to do it because I'll probably screw something up. But apparently what a lot of people do is they'll take this cover off of here and they'll go in here and they'll actually make sure that it's even. This piece inside here is even all the way around by using a feeler gauge all the way around and just shimming everything to make it where it needs to be. Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to do that. Let's go ahead and get the bolts and run this in. And get these in here. It's kind of funny that these LS motors use so many 10 millimeters. These are 10s, these are 10s, and there's a lot of stuff on here that's 10 millimeter. Now, these, just like the cam retainer plate, are getting torqued down to 18 foot-pounds. Alright, so let's go ahead, 18 foot-pounds. Just trying to do this evenly. It's always a good thing to do. Alright, there we have it. It's on. So that was the cam retainer plate, the crankshaft sprocket, the cam timing gear, the chain, and the oil pump. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead, and since we got all this on, we're going to put the timing cover on. So I got my new gasket here. Now a lot of the times, if you're familiar with LS motors, you know you can reuse these. But I ended up just getting a Felpro kit. It comes with like most of the gaskets I need anyway. Plus, I'm not a big believer in reusing gaskets unless, you know, I literally just put it on and took it off kind of thing. I like to be better safe than sorry. But I went ahead and I kind of cleaned this thing up the best I could. I can tell it was really dirty. Alright, so you're going to want to go ahead and kind of line your gasket up a little bit on here. I'm going to stick a couple bolts in it because this thing does seem to want to move itself around a little bit. Put it up here. Get that bolt started. Go ahead and get this one started. Alright, now I'm just going to go ahead and run the rest of these bolts in, making sure that the holes are lined up all the way through the gasket. Alright, so now I've got all the bolts in. I'm just going to run them almost all the way down, just so they can start to get this up against here. Now I'm not going to go too tight on these because this cover does have to be lined up. And I'll show you what I'm talking about here in a minute once I get all these all the way down. Okay, now that we got these ran down here a little bit, but the cover is still completely loose, we're going to take our fancy dancy, overly priced, mind you, alignment tool, and we're going to use that to line this up. If this cover is not completely aligned, it can cause your harmonic balancer seal here to get worn too much on one side or the other, which will ultimately make it fail and cause leaks, and we definitely don't want that. So it says to take this, has a gasket on one side, lube her up just a little bit, maybe. She's thinking about it. There it goes, I think. Come on. We just need a little bit. Okay. Should be good. Just gonna smear it around that seal a little bit. Okay. So then we're gonna go ahead and we're going to pop that in there all the way. Yep, that's in there about as far as it's going to go. You want to kind of feel make sure that these bottom pieces here are flat across. You could take a straight edge if you wanted. I'm not going to get super particular about it. They feel pretty close here. I'm going to go ahead and run these down a little bit. Now, it did say to try to do this in like a crisscross pattern and in 3 even steps. So, I'm going to crisscross this the best we can. Just going to kind of jump around a little bit. Just get them snug down by hand here. Alright. Now these get torqued down to 18 foot-pounds of torque. So, like the instructions said, I'm going to kind of do a crisscross here. This will be my second step. I'm not torquing them all the way down yet. Just want to get them tight. That way we can make sure this thing seats down here properly and we don't have any issues later on. Okay, they're all tight. Alright, they're all tight. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to torque them all the way down. 18 foot-pounds. Alright. Now you know me, I like to go back through and make sure. Never hurts to double check. Alright. So our next part, take that out, will be to put this seal in right here. Alright. So you want to make sure you wipe this out, because remember we did put a little bit of oil on that alignment tool. So you want to take your new seal. You want this all to be dry in there because these do get installed dry. And you want to kind of put it up in there a little bit. And you can use your fancy dancy overpriced alignment tool to put up in here and tap this puppy in. So I got this hit all the way down in there and it's flush all the way across. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to install our harmonic balancer. Yep. This is a Corvette one. I'm going to be running Corvette accessories. Sorry, I had to make sure I got the Corvette one. It is a slightly different length than like the F bodies. I'm also going to be using an ARP bolt. These are really nice to use. So let's go ahead and get to getting, I guess. One trick that a lot of people do is they heat these up. I don't really care for doing that. I don't like anything extra to compromise this seal up in here. I mean, I've seen plenty of people do it though. You want to try to heat it up to like a lower degree, usually like 200 or less. You know, something that the motor is going to get to begin with. But anyway, you want to make sure this is dry in here. The seal at least. And I am going to put just a smidge of oil if my can wants to cooperate, on the inside of this. Just give it a little something to help. Alright. Go ahead and fit it on there. And then I'm going to be using this installer tool. I've honestly never used one of these to do this before. So it's going to be my first time. But we're going to go ahead and run this down in here. Now this should help evenly install this. Now if I can find my, there it is. Find my wrench. Alright, once it starts moving, you want to kind of grab onto it. It's a little easier said than done. To help kind of prevent it from moving. Alright. We got a little bit more to go. Alright, once you get this thing down on there, you can go ahead and loosen it up. Take your installer out. Alright. Now, take your good old ARP bolt with the supplied Ultra Torque lube. Now, you want to put this everywhere. You want to put it on the washer, the head of the bolt. Now, what they say this does is helps it to slip just enough so you get accurate torque. Underside of the nut, or I mean washer, on the threads of the bolt. All right, I think she's good enough. Then we can go ahead and put this sucker on in there. Now, if you did notice, this has a washer. I think that washer is so you could potentially use this bolt to seat this on here. I don't know if I would recommend that, but you know, it's an option. So this is a 12-point bolt. If I remember right, it's 27 millimeter, and it gets torqued to 235 foot-pounds. Oh boy, here we go. All right, breaking out the big boy. It is, like I said, 235 foot-pounds. Now we'll see. This is the fun part. Alright, so it started spinning a little too much here. Unable to do anything after that, and it's getting too hard to hold. So I went ahead and stuck a block of wood up in there to hold the crank from moving anymore. See if we can't get to that 235. I highly recommend getting a 3/4 drive just for things like this, because I mean this makes it so much easier than if you were using like a 1/2 inch. This is also going to finish seating this all the way down, because you get it really close with the installer or with a different bolt, but ultimately this is what's going to finish putting it all the way down up against there. 235 is a hell of a number. Whew, here we go. Let's double check it. Okay. Whew. I had to change out my block of wood. The other piece was just not cutting it. Well, here you have it. There's the harmonic balancer on. Well, there you go, guys. Now we got the front all buttoned up here. You know, we went through and changed the timing sprocket, changed the timing gear on the cam, bolted all that down. We did the front cover, front seal, and now the harmonic balancer. So, like always, make sure you check your specs. Sometimes specs can be different between motors, even if they are in the technical same family. I got all my specs off of Summit Racing. You can go on there, and through the manufacturer, like ARP tells you what their bolt spec is. So, like always, do your research. Till next time, keep off those jack stands and stay broke, folks. On behalf of all of us here at Broke Ass Motorsports Ohio, we'd like to thank you for watching our video. If you enjoyed our video, please let us know by leaving a like or comment on our video. If you're new and would like to stay up to date on things, please subscribe or follow us on our social medias. The links to those will be in the description down below.